Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
Millie Weaver reporting for Infowars.com. Recent revelations regarding Seth Rich, the former DNC staffer that was found murdered in Washington, D.C., have come out after his family hired a private investigator. Now, this private investigator is saying that there's correspondence between Seth Rich and Wikileaks during this time period in which the DNC leaks occurred. It's interesting to note here that a DC police officer had said to this private investigator that they were ordered to stand down. That's very unusual to have a police department standing down on a murder investigation.
New information from the family's private investigator suggests there is tangible evidence on Seth Rich's laptop that confirms he was communicating with WikiLeaks prior to his death. The Rich family hired Rod Wheeler, a former MPD homicide detective, to run a parallel investigation into their son's death. Wheeler says he believes there's a cover-up and the police department has been told to back down from the investigation.
So that would put Seth Rich as the potential DNC leaker and not the Russians. This would essentially destroy the fake news narrative that the mainstream media and Democrats had been pushing, saying that Trump was colluding with the Russians and that the Russians interfered with the election. Well, this presumes that the DNC leaks actually had a major effect on the outcome of the presidential election, which all of the polls tend to say otherwise. It doesn't actually show that the DNC leaks played a major role into whether or not people were going to vote for Hillary Clinton. In fact, the reason Hillary Clinton lost is because 2/3 of prior Obama voters actually chose to then vote for President Trump. It's also interesting to note that less than an hour after this Seth Rich murder case, Washington Post posted an article claiming that Trump was leaking top secret clearance information to the Russians. So was that article just an attempt to continue to cover up the Seth Rich murder case? Let's go see just how effective the mainstream media and Democratic Party has been at swaying the public's opinion away from the Seth Rich story and into this Russian fake news narrative storyline. Let's go see what they have to say. What do you think about the narrative that's been going around that the Russians interfered in the presidential election?
It's true.
You think so?
Yes, absolutely. Trump's a liar.
I don't believe it.
God,
I think it's media
he's
hype.
a lot more political than I am. I don't watch any of that. I get really depressed.
Did you hear about the DNC leaks or the WikiLeaks?
A little bit, but I don't know much about it, to be honest.
Did you hear about this story that's kind of been going around that the Russians interfered in the presidential election?
This I heard about.
Everyone's heard about it.
Maybe a little bit here and there, but nothing I know in depth, no.
I mean, I've heard about that like vaguely on the news.
I don't know what to think about it. I don't have enough information. I don't keep up with the news very much anymore.
Do you remember seeing any evidence of the Russians hacking the election out there?
No, just a lot of talk as usual.
I think there's enough evidence to probably think that there's some truth to it.
What do you think some of the evidence is? Do you know any of it specifically?
No, not really. Just from, I can't bring up anything specifically, but stuff that I've read, stuff that I've seen.
Do you think that the Russians stole the election from Hillary Clinton?
Yeah, I do.
During the primaries, I believe it was, where he seemed to, out of nowhere, just really get a lot of support compared to, seems like a lot of folks are on the side of Bernie and Hillary.
How do you think that the Russians has anything to do with people supporting Trump?
That's a very difficult question to ask.
Do you think that it could be possible that maybe Hillary Clinton didn't win the election because she didn't capture those former Obama voters?
No. Nope. I don't think so.
Honestly, at this point, everything I read and see I take with a grain of salt.
Do you think it's true?
I don't know if it's true, but it's kind of concerning that there's talks about it at all.
Have you heard about Seth Rich, the former DNC staff?
I cannot say I have, ma'am.
Did you hear about him all? He was a DNC staffer with the Democratic Party.
I don't think so. I'm not too familiar.
No.
Have you heard about him at all?
No.
No.
Who is it?
He was murdered back in July, and his body was found in Washington. Did you hear about him?
Yeah, but I don't know anything about it.
I have not. No.
Have you heard about him?
No.
Did not.
I have not.
Not at all?
No, I haven't. Sorry.
I haven't.
No, we have not.
No, I haven't.
I have a peripheral memory of that piece, but nothing specific.
He was probably an asshole, so.
You think that they murdered him just because he was an asshole?
Yeah, probably. You know.
You don't think that it would be because he might have leaked stuff? You know, he was a Democratic Party person that was working in IT, and he had the ability to leak stuff, and we're having evidence coming out by private investigators hired by his family that, you know, he was in correspondence with Wikileaks. So do you think that
WikiLeaks doesn't have anything to do with the Russians?
Wikileaks was the site that all the information was leaked to? They're just a platform
So
for
isn't that a
leaked
platform
information.
for the Russians?
No, WikiLeaks was by it's put on by a guy named Julian Assange.
According to MSNBC, I believe they had some kind of connection there.
Assange doesn't have any connection to the Russians. What they're trying to say is that the Russians hacked the DNC emails and leaked them. That was the original storyline. And now evidence is coming out that Seth Rich, who was found murdered after the DNC leaks, his laptop showed correspondence with WikiLeaks.
Yeah, stuff can happen.
Sounds plausible. And now he's dead. Yikes. Yikes.
It's suspicious, but not surprising, because that kind of thing happens quite often, actually, and just goes, almost unnoticed a lot of times.
And under this administration, everyone's a potential leaker.
Do you think that watching the mainstream media at all has affected your opinion on all of this?
It has definitely shown that there's definitely a lot of sensationalism out there, and that it definitely does very good for the American people to do research on their own. It's very unfortunate that we have to tune into something like the BBC or NPR to really get like the full story compared to mainstream media, which is more obsessed with sensationalism than the real deal.
Do you think it's possible that even NPR and BBC could be not telling the truth?
That's a very, very good possibility. You raise a really good point there.
Not surprising, most of the people I talked to had no idea who Seth Rich was and what were the stories surrounding his mysterious murder. However, most people did know about the mainstream media claim that the Russians interfered in the presidential election. This just goes to show that they have been very successful at getting people... Nice one, dude. We got a Bill Clinton's Ravens shout out heckler right there. That's pretty awesome. But it just goes to show that the mainstream media has been very successful in getting everybody caught up in this Russian claim, this mainstream media claim that the Russians hacked the election, whereas they've gotten everybody diverted away from the true story with Seth Rich, who was found mysteriously murdered after many people believe he leaked the DNC leaks. This is Millie Weaver signing off for Infowars.com.
Did you know that only 6 corporations control 90% of what millions of Americans see, hear, and read every single day? It's the illusion of choice. Think about it. The mainstream media is owned by only a handful of megacorporations with vested interests. But on the other hand, the internet is an interconnected network of billions of sources. So you can research information for yourself from multiple sources, or you can blindly accept what you hear or read in the mainstream media, never questioning what you are being told. This gives you a false sense of reality. I mean, mean, do you actually know what you think you know? Or have you been programmed to accept someone else's version of events? Think about it. This is Darren McBreen, and I want you to break the matrix at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.tv and listen to The Alex Jones Show, because there's a war on your mind.
Why is the fungus? Why is the mold? Why is the yeast taking over? What is going on? What has changed? Dr. Group, the new product, will sell out definitely in days. You've been testing it for almost a decade. You've got rave reviews from your patients who've been taking it privately at your clinics. Myco ZX supports normal fungal and yeast balance, proprietary blend of herbs and enzymes made with high-quality ingredients. It's available at InfoWarsStore.com. We also have free shipping, orders $50 or more, and 10% off when you sign up for auto ship. Additionally, on top of that, and then you fund an organization dedicated to the truth and get something you and your family absolutely need. But you should consult your healthcare provider. This is not a game. This is not a joke. Especially if you have really big yeast levels or fungus in your body. There can be some responses to this as you're flushing it. But why is this product so powerful? What does it do?
So we've been doing research just like you have on what's currently going on. Obviously, we stay ahead of the game because our job is to protect and address the root cause of the problem, which is why I've been...
Now, we want stuff for our own kids.
This is why we've addressed the president, let's address the root cause of America's health problems. But getting back to fungus, it's becoming an increasing epidemic that's only getting worse.
Killing bats everywhere, other animals, squirrels are dying.
Funguses were used as bioweapons.
So why is it suddenly killing so many mammals?
Yeah, fungus is a growing epidemic, and I've been testing this formula and making changes to this formula for over 10 years. I've had nobody... Here's the thing, Alex. When you go to the doctor with a list of symptoms, you can look at symptoms of fungus overgrowth in the body. It's going to show, you're going to pull up over 100 symptoms, everything from brain fog, lack of energy, insomnia, headaches, bowel problems.
Joint pain.
It's joint pain. It's linked to Crohn's disease.
Infertility. What about the obesity epidemic? I know they test people that are really obese and like they're just colonized by fungus.
Yeast overgrowth. I have a study right here by Jacob Titelbaum at the Fibromyalgia and Fatigue Center in Dallas. Yeast overgrowth is linked to an average weight gain of 32.5 pounds. What doctor...
By the way, folks, look, I'm not bragging. We game changed the presidency. We game changed the New World Order. Globalism is falling because of you. You are the InfoWar. Listen, this is religious for me, okay? I do not bring you something unless I absolutely believe in it. And if we were reigned with $1 billion, I would turn 99% of it against the enemy. I want to defeat them. I'm ready to give my life. Everybody knows that, against the enemy. Please, we only have a limited supply of this. I want to get your reviews. I want to hear what you have to say. For me, it's been incredible. Myco ZX, antifungal, antifungus, anti-yeast. Get it today. Limited run. It'll be months till we get more. InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLife.com. Myco ZX goes great with the bomb defense. InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139. And you can't support an organization that isn't fighting hard. Look at the response we're getting. We're changing the world together. You are the InfoWar. God bless you all.